Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I got disconnected earlier. Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you clear.
thank you. Yeah. Wow. Also, hi,
Yes,
guys.
clear.
Okay. Thank you. Let me just give it a few more seconds. So, um, I have to get used to this layout yet. Well, anyway, so hi, good evening, everyone, and I'm glad you're all here tonight. I can't get the controls right with this one, but anyway, so uh, let's see if more people will join. And uh, I see a lot of familiar faces tonight and some new ones. I think, yeah, Marian is new. I'm glad you joined tonight. This is your first time joining our read and discuss, right? Yeah, that's great. And I hope to. Oh, and oh no, Maribel, this is the second time, and everybody else is familiar. So I'm glad to see you all. When I see, every time we have these talks and I see the familiar names appear, I feel a sigh of relief that, oh, they're okay. And of course, I'm also glad for the new people who joined. This also means that they're doing well. Well enough to join our talks because everywhere there is a surge of the COVID-19 cases, not only in our country. And we kind of look out for each other. No, we kind of look out for each other, even though we just do it mostly inside our heads. So the number of the cases now would make one feel that things are dire. But I want to think this is a sort of the chaos before the calm, like an opposite of the calm before the storm. Although chaos also leaves destruction, and it's already doing that actually. And this is something that we have to accept. But despite these damages it has left on its trail and will probably leave much more, we have to be attentive to the soundness of our minds. So, with news here and there, some are conflicting, some are malicious. It's so easy to get sucked into the pessimism and the agenda. The agenda that some narratives that people would like uh, to propagate, things like that. Okay. Okay. Wait a sec. Oh, yeah, it's getting unstable. My connection. I don't know why. So anyway, so let's ensure our thoughts are shielded from being easily bent in a certain way. These are tough times indeed, and our story tonight is about kindness. Kindness. So kindness should be given more than ever during these days. And our health workers are on the top of the list of those who have earned and deserved our kindness. So let's give it to them, guys. And oh, yeah, Joan is here. Joan is actually a doctor. So thank you very much, Joan, for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. And I hope, oh, she's gone. But yeah, Joan is a doctor. So yeah, she's giving it her all, and all of our medical frontliners too. So sorry for the monologue. Let's start. I just wanted to say it out there. Um, so we are the member supported Pure Land Buddhism group, and we do these readings every Wednesday nights to impart life lessons through stories with Buddhist values. Um, can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So, uh,
Okay.
this is the book that we use. It's
Yeah,
called,
yeah, I can.
you can, okay. So, this is the book that we use. It's called Something You Forgot Along the Way. And it is by Buddhist author Kentetsu Takamori. So, now we're going to read our story. I need two volunteers to read Okay, to read the first part and then the second half of it. Can I get any volunteers to read?
Len, I wanna read, but
Oh,
am I coming okay? Because I
oh
think I'm
yeah,
usually
you're pretty okay. Yeah,
am
yeah,
I sounding
yeah. You sound okay to me.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll start.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Kindness benefits oneself as well as others. Watanabe Kazan's rules for business. A merchant once asked the famous thinker Watanabe Kazan the secrets of business success. Watanabe obligingly came up with the following rules. Number one, get up before your servants. Number two, never leave before you are served. Number three, when a customer returns an item he is displeased with, treat him with even greater courtesy than when he bought it. Number four, the more you prosper, the more frugal you should be. Number five, write down every cent you spend on yourself. Number six, don't forget the determination of your first business venture. Number seven, when a competitor opens up in the neighborhood, develop cordial relations with him and encourage one another warmly. Number eight, when you open a branch store, lay in food for 3 years. In all ages, early to bed and early to rise has been a secret of success.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin. Can I have another volunteer to read the rest of the story? The one on the right side. Mhm.
Let me.
Oh, yes. Okay, John. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. There is a tendency to make much of rich people and slight the poor, but it is imperative to look after the needs of the poor and take their side. Likewise, however inconvenient it may be to do so, it is important to sympathize with others and deal with them courteously. The more others respect and admire you, the more circumspect you need to be in words and deeds. Everything in this world, even a scrap of paper, exists as a means of attaining the purpose of life and must be treated with respect. If you are fortunate enough to enjoy great success, you should never forget the spirit of the beginner and not grow indolent and arrogant. When a rival comes along, he should be appreciated as someone who has appeared to spur you on a greater efforts in self-improvement. Kindness does not only benefit others, it benefits you yourself as well. Spare no effort to see that others live in perfect contentment.
Okay, thank you very much, John. So thank you very much, John and
Welcome.
Kevin. Okay,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you. Thank you for reading. So kindness benefits oneself as well as others. This is the title of our story. And if you have been regularly attending our talks, you may be familiar with this concept and how it's called in Japanese. Can anyone tell me what the Japanese term for kindness benefits oneself as well as others? If anyone remembers, those who have attended our previous talks. Is there anyone who remembers the Japanese term? It may be slightly different. Could be by making others happy, I become happy. So, yeah, if does someone recall? Can you recall what the Japanese term is? Yes, Telma?
Is it Jiririta? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, that's correct. It's
Oh,
jiririta. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so jiririta, this is the Japanese term for kindness benefits oneself as well as others, or it could also be by making others happy, I become happy. This is a central tenet to Pure Land Buddhism. So, Buddhism teaches a lot about kindness. But in this story, though, we're going to explore the kindness one can give in business. More specifically, when you are the boss or the owner of said business. So, before we go on, if you have any questions or if you want to say something, please type it in the Skype group so we could have a copy of all your questions and all of the things you have to say, and we could back read and for so that everyone could take notes too of what we have to input. Thank you. Okay. So maybe some of you are already running your own businesses now. But even if you don't, you can pick a thing or two from these rules that Watanabe Kazan gave. So first, who is Watanabe Kazan? So I just Googled him and I found out that Watanabe Kazan is a high ranking but impoverished samurai during the Edo period of Japan. He is also a scholar and a painter. His paintings incorporate Western perspective into Japanese art. So when his two private essays that were interpreted to be critical of the shogunate were found, he was placed in house arrest. And that came with another condition. The condition the condition was that he shouldn't sell his paintings. But of course, because of financial difficulties, it drove him to sell them despite the circumstances. So it was found out not long after, and then when it was found out, he committed suicide afterwards to amend the embarrassment he caused his Lord because of that incident. So he was only 48 when he committed suicide, or what they call in Japanese seppuku, honorable suicide, something like that. So his story is tragic, right? But it is not the only one. There are many others like this. And we are not here to dwell on his sad story, but on the business rules he left us. So let's move on to the business rules he gave. So Watanabe Kazan's rules for business success. I will just read it again one more time. First is get up before your servants. Second is treat a small spender with greater consideration than a big spender. Third is when a customer returns an item he is displeased with, treat him with even greater courtesy than when he bought it. Fourth is the more you prosper, the more frugal you should be. Fifth, write down every cent you spend on yourself. Sixth, don't forget the determination of your first business venture. Seventh, when a competitor opens up in the neighborhood, develop a cordial relation with him and encourage one another warmly. And the last one, when you open a branch store, lay in food for 3 years. Okay, so we will examine each one of them as thoroughly as we can. So let's move on to the first one. Get up before your servants. Do I have any chats? Okay, none. Okay, this seems pretty straightforward, right? This is setting a good example by being a good example to your subordinates. They will emulate you, right? And when they emulate your good habits, they also develop good habits. So we may have seen many posts about being a good leader is done by showing or leading by example and not solely by ordering people around. However, this is not always the case, right? I think uh, many of us here have been an employee, right? So, how many of our bosses, past and current, arrive in the office before everyone else or before we do? Maybe not all of them. Maybe some of them arrive so much later. And I think many can relate to this. Or let's not go too far. To those of us who employ house helps, most of the time the house help is the one to wake up first, while we're so relaxed sleeping or at ease that someone else does the work or cleans after us, right? But we may argue that's the whole point of getting help, right? That's the whole point of getting a house help. So we can ease ourselves out of the burden of other work, so we can do other stuff. And that is true. That is true. That's the real reason we get house help. So that kind of contradicts the first rule, right? Kind of contradicts the first rule. But the thing is, um, while we can take the taking the first rule literally is a good example to and a good rule. I think this statement may, yes. Oh, does someone want to say something? Okay, okay, yeah. So while uh this statement may not entirely be only about getting up before your subordinates do, but it's being a good role model to people who look up to you. Although getting up early and being early is an excellent habit to have, as a boss or a superior, you have to be the pinnacle of good work ethics. So be a promoter of good virtue. So before you ask your subordinates or your employees to do something, make sure it is something you can do yourself. This will earn you a huge amount of respect from them. But of course, we cannot be an expert in everything. Okay. There will be tasks that we cannot perform, and only the employee that we hired can do it. So in this case, you don't have to show that you can perform the task, but being the boss, you should be on top of things. Even though you can't do it, you should research on how the task of each of your employee is done. And the employees should know that you know and understand their work. Okay. You should make it obvious to them. You should let them know that you understand their work, and you should have at least a general knowledge of it. Because aside from gaining respect points from your employees would know that they cannot deceive you with poor attitude, okay, and poor work attitude and excuses. And in one paragraph of the story, it says that in all ages, early to bed, early to rise has been a secret of success. That is true. Getting up early is a good habit to have, right? Who among you are early risers? Who among you wakes up really early in the morning, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m.? Um,
I do.
who's that?
Fi-
John, yeah.
5 o'clock.
Oh,
Joanne.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's
5 o'clock.
early. Oh, that's early. That's good. Oh, because you have to a lot of stuff to do, right? In the hospital and stuff like that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I could just
Yes.
imagine. Yeah, thank you very
Yeah.
much, Joanne, for all your hard work. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. So I
Thank
assume
you. Yeah.
yeah. So I assume everyone else wakes up late. I know Anne wakes up late. No, just kidding. Because she sleeps late. Just kidding. But yeah, yeah, but early it's good to rise early, right? It gives us a good feeling. However, in a case
Sometimes, Len.
sometimes okay. But in the case of, I think Kevin and I, yeah, we don't sleep. We're vampires because of our work. Sometimes we're still awake 3 a.m., 2 a.m., and have meetings, right, Kevs? So, yeah, we don't have the, what they call this, the opportunity to wake up early because of the kind of work we do. But, given the chance, we would like to have the regular work schedule. But this is how we do things now. So, anyway, yeah, get up before your servants. Be a good leader. Be a pinnacle of good work ethics. Even if you're not a boss, really, even if you're an employee and you work for someone, be a pinnacle of good work ethics. It'll earn you respect from other people. Okay, excuse me. So, Do you have any questions about the first one or any clarifications? If there are things that are not clear, um, you can type it in the Skype chat box and we'll answer them later. And also for your questions. Okay, now this is the second one. Uh, Treat a small spender with great consideration than a big spender. Before I explain this, I want to know what your understanding of this is. Isn't this counterintuitive? It kind of goes against common sense, don't you think? I mean, shouldn't we give better consideration for those who will bring us bigger money or a greater amount of money? What do you think about this? Y-
In
Yeah.
marketing sense, it's contradictory kasi say
Mm,
for example, like your stance will prefer a big spender than a small spender.
yes, yeah, that's true, right?
So,
Yeah. So you agree that this is
well,
quite
that's what I
contradictory.
think.
Uh-huh.
Contradictory, yes.
Yes, okay. So
In
yeah,
terms of profitability,
mm-hmm. Okay,
but
yes, that's yeah, go
that's
ahead.
it.
Okay, yes. Okay, thank you for that, Telma. So Telma agrees that this is contradicting, right? It's contradicting, but Watanabe Kasan says we have to treat the small spender with greater consideration. He didn't even say treat them equally, right? So yeah, this is kind of counterintuitive. If you have other opinions about it, you can say or let me check the Skype box. Okay, yeah, you can type it in the Skype box too if you have uh, other opinions about it. Okay, so this is our initial reaction when we see this. When I saw this first too, this is, yeah, uh, it doesn't make sense for me really. But as explained, a business usually runs on small spenders. The big spenders the big spenders come once in a while, but the small spenders are the lifeline of the business. And yeah, I think this is the best way to describe what Watanabe Kazan means with this rule. The number of small spenders who buy from a business usually outnumbers the number of big spenders who just come once in a while. So these small spenders are most probably the regular customers who go back every now and then to the store. And the big spenders are the ones who may only come on occasion. So so yeah, that's why we have to treat them with greater consideration. It's your lifeline. It if it's what do you call this? It's what they are the ones who will keep your business running. Excuse me. And the story also tells us in one part that there is a tendency to make much of rich people and slight the poor, but it is imperative to look after the needs of the poor and take their side. So maybe what this means is that uh, maybe most of the small spenders are also poor or not well off, but that's not the case all the time, really. But what he's saying is it's essential to look after their needs, the ones who spend less. Those with money can spend big, those with money and can spend big will not have an issue buying anything. They can pretty much maybe buy everything in your store. But those who have less money will be more meticulous with their spending. So observing their buying habits will uh, will help you find ways to cater to their needs. So they will think that buying from your store will be more cost efficient or is the most cost efficient way for them. Thus, it will make them go back to your store. Uh, yeah, go back to the store because they would feel that their money is not wasted. Okay, let's see Skype. Okay, so it says, I also think it applies. Anne says, I also think it applies if you're a business owner. The cheaper your goods are, the more people would buy a product. Oh, yeah. A lot of people would like to, of course, would opt for the uh, cheaper ones. Uh, but we have to also, many people also consider quality. And if you could uh, be in the middle of that, have a not a very costly product, but also quality product, then it's a good situation for you. Then Kevin says, I agree. Like in my case, I only buy black coffee in McDonald's, but I used to go regularly. Wow, really in McDonald's? Oh yeah, when you go, you mean when you go to McDonald's, it's only black coffee you buy. Oh, okay. And Anne says, I love brewed coffee at McDonald's too, but sometimes instant coffee always also tastes better. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think. Oh, is it good in McDonald's? Yeah, I think so too. Their black coffee is good. So yeah, that's right. We should. Sorry about that. I got distracted a bit. Okay, so that's right. If you're running a business, take great consideration with the small spenders. So, like in Kevin's example, even though he only buys black coffee in a McDonald's, he goes regularly. So compare that to the one who buys something else. What I mean, what other drinks or the meals that they offer in McDonald's. Maybe Kevin goes there every day, but the ones who spend more money like goes only once a week or once every 2 weeks. So they are getting more money and their business is kept alive by the small spenders who buy regular coffee every day to them. So this is what this number two rule means. Treat the small spender with greater consideration than the big spender. Okay. I hope that's clear. If it's not, please let me know in the Skype chat box. Okay, so we'll move on to the third one. When a customer returns an item he is displeased with, treat him with even greater courtesy than when he bought it. Okay, this one is understandable. However inconvenient it is for us to deal with situations like this, it's important that we deal with customers politely and put ourselves in their shoes so we could understand them better, right? Good service benefits the business and customers alike. To be treated well despite being in cases like this, where the customer may be irate, it will humble them. Oh, yes? Yeah? Yeah. Would you like? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I thought someone would like to say something. Okay, so if we're nice to irate customers, it usually humbles them, and they would probably take a more positive reaction next time it happens because of the pleasant experience they had the first time. For the business side, because of the pleasant service despite unfortunate circumstances, people would want to go back to your business. And also, when customers return an item they are displeased with, it can be assumed that the business was at fault. So it can be a defective item or the customers were not guided properly to the exact item they need, that they will cater to their needs. So attitude is very important in business. So have a pleasant one. Yeah? If you're going to have an attitude in business, it should be a pleasant one. Okay. So wait a sec. Okay. So we'll go to the fourth one. We won't be able to finish this story tonight, so we will continue it next week. But we'll finish with number four. Okay. Okay. The number four is the more you prosper, the more frugal you should be. Okay. So for this one, I think many or one may argue that uh, why then? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So for this one may argue, why then have I worked so hard to earn so much more money only to deprive myself of what I can afford, right? It's the reason we earn. So we could do the good things, buy the nice stuff. And it's our money anyway. We're pretty much entitled to spend it however which way we like. But I would like to know how you would respond to such statements. Okay. So, how would you respond to this? That the more prosper you are, the more frugal you should be. Please let me know in the Skype chat. And so, what happens is most of us, when we have a sudden influx of money or income, we develop this grand illusion that we could spend so much more. It doesn't mean that we can't treat ourselves with good things or nice stuff. But this rule is simply telling us to be more discerning on where we put our money and still live within our means. This is very important. We should never forget to live within our means. Regardless if we're earning much more, we got promoted, our salary was increased, still live within our means, right? So we have to be careful too with nickel and diming ourselves. So what that is we buy low cost stuff here and there, but we don't realize that when we add up all this low cost stuff that we buy or these low cost purchases that we buy, when we add them all up, it results to a substantial amount. Okay. I'm kind of guilty of this, right? Because, Shopee and Lazada, there's a lot of sales and stuff. Okay, I'll just buy this one. It's not that much. I'll buy that one too. It's on sale. But when you add it all up, you realize you have already spent so much from buying low cost stuff, many low cost stuff. So we have to be careful of this, right? Sometimes we're not watchful. So be watchful with your money. Don't break the bank because you lose sight of your spending. Okay. And number five will answer that. But since we don't have time for it, we only have 30 minutes for this talk, we will continue this story next week. Okay. So, yeah, that's it for tonight, guys. And I hope everyone will be here next week too to continue this story. This has lots of great information and great yeah, practical advices you could use for your business and everyday lives. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Good night, and I'm really glad you're all here. See you next week. Bye. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you, Len.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.